Hello everybody, this is Mr. McKeever here in the first installment of what will be one of many Excel tutorial lessons done via the wonderful Screencast-O-Matic. Alright, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do our basic entry of information into Microsoft Excel. So the first thing you need to do is open up Microsoft Excel. When you do so, you will see a beautiful spreadsheet that looks just as plain and boring as this one does right here. Once you have done this, first thing we are going to do is I'm going to show you how to save a Microsoft Excel document. This is probably the most important lesson to learn right off the bat. So you go over here to File, much like you would with Word or anything else. Go to Save As. Whenever we do these lessons, this is how you're going to save it. You're going to put your last name. So for me, it's McKeever. Underscore. Whatever lesson we're going to do. So in this case, this is ETry 1. And then you're done. And then you save it wherever you want to. We're going to put it in our computer education files, type it down here, boom, goes Dynamite, and we have our saved file. Perfect. Every one we do should do that. So go ahead and make sure that you have saved yours with your last name and whatever lesson we are doing that day. Alright, next what we are going to do is we're going to show you how to create a blank workbook. Again, really simple task. You would go over here, go to New. You have new workbooks. You have a ton of different templates you could use for different stuff, which is what makes Excel really useful. Today, we're just going to look at workbook. You don't actually have to create a new one, but you at least now know where you create a new workbook. These themselves are called workbooks. Remember, like we talked about last time, you can add a bunch of different pages to them. These different pages allow you to do different stuff, and we'll be able to play around and manipulate that later on as we bounce stuff between different pages. Alright, now what we're going to do is actually enter data. So go over into A1 here, and I want you to type in client survey. Looks pretty, looks fantastic, except it's really boring. So we're going to introduce something that you really shouldn't learn until later on, but we're going to introduce it right now, and it's called the cell styles. If you go over here to cell styles and you click on it, it gives you a bunch of pre-made styles to make stuff look better. So we're going to go over in here and just make client survey into heading 2, and it's going to look like a little different and add some color. Life will be great. Go client survey. After that, you're going to go down to A3. You're going to type in client ID. Simple enough again. Life is great. Just because we like making things fun, let's go over here again. Go to cell styles, and we'll make this heading 4. No particular reason behind it other than it looks cool. Alright, so let's go down then to A5, and this is where we're going to insert some actual data, and it's going to bring up some interesting points as to what we want to do. So I want you to type in the sentence, was the room temperature appropriate? Okay, and down 1, when you hit enter, you're going to type in, were the staff members cordial? Make sure you actually put spaces in between stuff. Learning to type is a skill that, sometimes is overrated. Was your appointment administered on time? Were your treatments explained in advance? Were your treatments, and this is neat because you can see right here it's automatically going to fill the rest in, so you just have to enter again. And then were you offered a beverage? Alright, so these are all the questions that if you were to say go to a doctor's office, they would probably ask you at the end of it if they wanted to create a survey for that. So what we're going to do then is we're going to put our ratings. How would you rate it, like an A, B, C, or D? So let's go ahead and put A rating. They did a great job. B rating. They did a pretty good job. C rating. They did an okay job. D rating. They kind of sucked. And an F rating. They are awful. Alright, so these are all of our different ratings that you could have. At this point in time, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to go ahead and save. So go up here to the save, boom, save, we're good to go. If anything were to happen and crash, we can move right back to the spot. Alright, so now that you're here, we have all this stuff here. You want to be able to change information in here. If you click on a cell, you'll notice here none of these are showing any text up in the formula bar. That's because there is none there. This is an important thing to remember. If you're trying to edit, you have to actually edit where you entered the data in. So if I go back here, I can see everything I put in. Even though it's overlapping in different cells, that doesn't make a difference. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change this doubled entry that we have right here. And how we replace it is simple. You don't have to highlight all of this. You go back to the cell you entered it in. If you double click it, you'll be able to insert text you want. We can highlight it up here. And let's go ahead and type in, were you relaxed during the process? You hit enter, and look at that. We've replaced what we had there before. Life is simple. Now we don't have any repeats. Well, what if you only want to insert part of what you're doing and change that? You can actually do that. So let's go back here. Again, you can double click it was, delete, and type in did. Your appointment. Use proper grammar and say, did your appointment get administered on time? These are simple ways to make changes. Now, I'm going to show you something that we did do before, just to remind you. Well, how do we get these all into one cell so it looks simple? If you go up here between A and B, notice how you have a two-way arrow now? If you double click there, it's going to reshape the entire size of the cell in order to do that. Notice also your line now is going all the way across for client survey. This is because it's now covering the entire cell. And even though client survey before wasn't in just one cell, your formatting stays the same. What if you don't like this though and you want it to go back? You can just go right up here to the undo button. Boom, it goes back to the way it was. If you do like it and you change your mind, you can hit the redo button right here. Isn't that convenient? Life is so easy using Excel. It's amazing. You can do the same things in Excel you did with Word when it came to bolding, italicizing, and other things. So let's go over here and highlight all of our ratings. We can go up here to bold, hit the B, boom. Now we have everything in bold. Now an important thing to remember, a lot of people forget about this, is there is a hotkey that does that on your printer or your computer also. If you go down to Control B, you can switch between bold and not bold. If you go to the Control I, you can go to italics and not italics. And that's how you switch through the different font choices. So now what if you're actually taking the survey and you want to be able to insert all of your data in here? Or, even more importantly, you want to know what this is when you look at it. Now we're going to insert headers and footers so that you can label that. So you go up here to insert. You can choose to add in a header and a footer. So go ahead and click on that. In here you can choose whatever you want in 3 different zones in your header. One of these zones I want you to go ahead and put your last name. So we're going to go ahead and put our last name over here, the left side. In the center, I want you to put what this is. In this case, it is ETry 1. So we're going to put that there. And over here, you can actually insert page numbers or date. Now this is what's really cool about this. If you click current date, it's automatically going to put the date it is you access it. So I go down here, it's 2/24. Now if I open this again in a week, it's going to say 2/31. That's what's really nice about all this. Also, you'll notice while you're looking at the headers and the footers here, the page looks different. And that's because it's actually broken this down to what it looks like if you were to print this on a page. Right now, if you were to print this on a page, the A ratings would only show up, whereas the rest of this would be on a second page. It's really important to look at when you guys are printing things so it doesn't just print out all willy-nilly everywhere and it's just a big old disaster, and nobody wants to see that. Alright, the last thing I'm going to show you guys today in part of this lesson is how once you've created your headers and your footers, how do you go back and you go to your original views before. Now before I showed you the 3 different views that are down here. There's page break view that shows you only the stuff that you've actually entered. You have the print view, which is what you guys saw before a second ago. And we have normal view. So go back to normal view. This is what it normally looks like. And you may notice some dotted lines right here. It's inserted those for you so you can see where the page breaks are for your Excel workbook. Again, really useful things to have. Once you have done all of this stuff, let's go over here and save it again. And you are officially done for today. Have a great day. Peace out.